I am pleased to share with you this presentation I've prepared for the 7th World Conference on Qualitative Research. When we think of the language classroom, we may think of students working together in small groups or pairs or even individually. What we see on the surface are people, but underneath there are many socio-affective processes involved. So what are socio-affective processes? Well, these are the operations or mental activities linked to emotions, feelings, and attitudes that allow us to relate to ourselves and others. Whenever we think of emotions, we need to take into account the importance these emotions have in the learning journey. Yet, despite the importance of this field, it is very little explored in the literature. However, we do know there are some suggestions to develop and strengthen socio-affective processes in the classroom. For example, proactively spending some time working on group processes, promoting interactive and extracurricular activities, or even developing a group legend. With all this in mind, I came up with the following research question, which was the following. According to a group of higher education students, what are the elements that intervene in the development of socio-affective processes in the second language classroom? This piece of research departed from 22 students who became participants, and these were beginners of a Spanish language course. All of them left their footprint in this work. However, 3 of them were specifically important because they were interviewed in depth, as I will discuss later on. I approached this piece of research from an ethnographic perspective as a case study, and I adopted an academic perspective in order to give a voice to the participants. To process the data, I used grounded theory, as in Strauss and Corbin, 1990, and as we know, this method is also known as constant comparison method because the researcher finds themselves going line per line, wondering if this concept is the same or different to the previous concept, and hence they make sure each concept falls into the same or different category, and that's how the data are organized until each category is saturated. In the next slide, we can see an example of how I labeled each of the concepts I came across in the corpus using Atlas TI. And this is the corpus with which I worked. It was conformed by a WhatsApp conversation, questionnaire, 2 focus groups, and then each of the 3 participants I mentioned before were interviewed twice. For this piece of research, I employed different means of triangulations of data, participants, and planes to mitigate the bias which is common in qualitative research. This is an example of triangulation in which they mentioned the importance of the teacher as one of the elements in motivation and socio-affective processes. The teacher was also organically mentioned as part of the WhatsApp conversation and also as part of the focus group. With all this, the corpus was organized into 4 categories according to the importance of the 2 agents who were involved, the professor and the student. As we can see, the imagination co-constructed by the professor and students was key in the development of socio-affective processes. So was the WhatsApp conversation led only by students, in which the professor was not participant. And then also the pedagogical practices, the activities and norms in the classroom that the professor brought to the classroom were involved and very important for these processes. But also there were some other elements alien both to the student and the professor, which were key. These were the architectural elements of the classroom, how big this is, if there are pillars in the classroom, and also some decisions that the academic coordinators made. With all this, we can conclude the importance of the absence and presence of the professor and student making some decisions for these socio-affective processes, and also how these affective processes play a key role in the language classroom related to the learning journey. Thank you very much. And I'm leaving here some references for your interest.